Hello everyone, welcome to Last Paper. And this channel is especially for paper 1 preparation aspirants. And in this video provides you a last year or previously appeared questions and answers on paper 1, especially on communication topic part 1. Okay, here we have different topics on communication. We'll go with the topic by topic, and in this video we'll see some of the previous year questions on communication topic. Okay, so let's start our session. Here the first question is, what is the primary purpose of communication? To entertain, to pursue, to share information, to create barriers. Here the right answer is to share information. And the next question is, which of the following is not a type of communication? Verbal communication, non-verbal communication, transactional communication, written communication. Here, the transactional communication is not a type of communication, whereas verbal communication, non-verbal, and written are the types of communication. And which of the following best describes interpersonal communication? Interpersonal communication means communication with two or more people. That means here we have two types of communication: interpersonal communication and intrapersonal communication. Here we can see interpersonal communication. Here this means the communication with others. Here we'll see the options: communication with oneself, communication between two or more people, communication over a long distance, and communication through digital media. Here the right answer is communication between two or more people. The next question, non-verbal communication includes all of the following except. So here non-verbal communication means here we do not use words or speech as a communication, which includes eye contact, gestures, tone of voice, and grammar. Here, the right answer is grammar. So, grammar which is not followed in the non-verbal communication. Here, next question is what type of communication occurs when information flows through a chain of command as in an organization. So here the options are upward communication, downward communication, formal communication, lateral communication. Here the right answer is formal communication. Formal communication is a information flows in an organization. Which type of communication involves body language, facial expressions, and gestures? That means which is a type of, these are the characteristics of non-verbal communication, but we will see here the options: verbal communication, non-verbal communication, and written communication, internal communication. And here the right answer is non-verbal communication. Which of the following statements best defines mass communication? Mass communication means a communication among group of people. Okay, we'll see. One-on-one communication, transmission of information to a large audience via media, communication in small groups, and informal communication between friends. Here, the right answer of mass communication is transmission of information to a large audience via media. Mass communication involves reaching large audience through media channels like television, radio, and newspapers. Which is a characteristic of effective communication? So there are a few characteristics of effective communication. So here ambiguity is not a characteristic, clarity is the one of the characteristic of effective communication, excessive use of jargon is not a correct answer, and complexity is also not a right answer. So here the right answer of a characteristic of communication is clarity. Intrapersonal communication is primarily associated with dialogue with another person, self-talk or internal dialogue, group discussion, mass media communication. So previously we discussed in the intrapersonal communication is a self-talk or internal dialogue. This is one on oneself communication. Which type of communication is best described as informal communication within an organization? grapevine communication, vertical communication, written communication, and horizontal communication. So, informal communication within an organization refers to grapevine communication. Here, the right answer is grapevine communication. And what does the term encoding refers to in the communication process? Encoding in process of communication. The feedback given by the receiver, the sender translating thoughts into a message, the response by the receiver, the media through which the message is sent. Here the right answer is the sender translating thoughts into a message. Which of the following is an example of verbal communication? Verbal communication means here we'll use voice, we'll use words. That means facial expression is comes for non-verbal communication. Hand gestures is a non-verbal communication. Tone of voice is a non-verbal communication. But speech is a verbal communication. What is the role of feedback in the communication? To initiate the conversation, to maintain a flow of information, to confirm message reception and understanding, and to create noise in the process. Here the right answer is to confirm the message reception and the understanding. That means message proper delivery అయింది and it will be understandable. That is what it means, the feedback in communication process. In communication, noise means disruption or interruption. So disturbing sounds only in communication. Any interference that distorts the message, the loudness of the speaker's voice, the silence in the conversation. In communication process, the noise refers to the any interference that distorts the message. Which form of communication is most suitable for conveying sensitive or complex information? Nonverbal communication and written communication, visual communication, informal communication. Here the right answer is written communication. That is, in the written communication is best suited for conveying complex or sensitive information as it allows for clarity, precision, and record keeping. Here the right answer is written communication. Which of the following is not a characteristic of effective communication? Here, which of the following is not a characteristic of effective communication? Clarity is one of the characteristic of communication. Conciseness is also a characteristic of effective communication. Redundancy is not the characteristic of communication, and relevance is also one of the characteristic of communication. Here the right answer is redundancy is not a characteristic of effective communication. Which type of communication is conducted through symbols, signs, or behaviors? Oral communication, non-verbal communication, digital communication, and written communication. Here you see symbol, signs, or behavior that comes under the non-verbal communication. Next, what is the main purpose of upward communication in an organization? To share instructions from the top management, to gather feedback from employees, to facilitate informal discussions, to ensure flow of resources. Here the right answer is to gather feedback from the employees. This is from lower to upper authorities. Next question is which one of the following is not a type of listening? Appreciative listening, selective listening, comprehensive listening, and verbal listening. Here the correct answer is verbal listening. Verbal listening is not a type of listening. In communication process, what does decoding refers to? Sending the message in different forms, translating the message into understandable terms by the receiver. This may be the correct answer. Giving feedback to the sender and interrupting the communication process. Here the right answer is translating the message into understandable terms by the receiver. Which type of communication is typically used when two departments in an organization communicate with each other? So two departments means this comes under to same level. So here we will see what type of communication that's suitable for downward communication, horizontal communication, upward communication, grapevine communication. Here the correct answer is horizontal communication. Which of the following is a key element in classroom communication? Language complexity is not a classroom communication. Feedback from students is one of the key element of classroom communication. Teacher dominance is not a right answer. And use of difficult terminology. This is also not suitable answer. And here the right answer is feedback from students. Which one of the following statements best describes informal communication? Informal communication means this is not prepared and structured, and also it is not going to any official channels. Okay, we'll see what are the options that have given. Communication that occurs strictly through a official channels. This is formal communication that is unstructured and spontaneous. This may be the right answer because unstructured. So communication limited to written form, communication that follows a strict hierarchy. This is also a formal communication. Here the right answer is communication that is unstructured and spontaneous. In which communication model does the communication flow back and forth, creating a dialogue between sender and a receiver? Linear model, transactional model, circular model, and Shannon-Weaver model. Here the right answer is a transactional model. Which of the following is an example of visual communication? Memo, email, chart, and meeting agenda. So chart is a visual communication example. And which of the following is a primary advantage of written communication? The primary advantage of written communication, here the given options are immediacy of feedback and permanent record is one of the advantage, and lack of formal structure, this is wrong, and high risk of misinterpretation, this is also wrong. Here the right answer is a permanent record. What is one main advantage of using non-verbal communication in addition to verbal communication? Reduces clarity, wrong answer. Avoids miscommunication, wrong answer. Reinforces the verbal message, maybe right answer. Reduces feedback time, this is also wrong answer. Here the right answer is reinforces the verbal message. Which of the following is a feature of empathetic listening? Empathetic listening means ignoring emotions, focusing on personal response, and understanding the speaker's feelings and perspectives, selectively hearing parts of the message. Here, the understanding the speaker's feelings and perspectives. Here, this is the relevant to the empathetic listening. What is the role of sender in the communication process? To decode the message, this is the response role of the receiver. To interpret the message, this is also a role of receiver. To create and transmit the message, here this is the role of the sender. And to act as a passive recipient, this is the role of receiver. Also, here the sender role is to create and transmit the message. What is the interpersonal communication? Previously we saw communication with oneself is the correct answer. Which of the following best describes lateral communication? Lateral communication flows from top management to employees. This is downward communication, and communication that flows between departments or colleagues. This is the same level. That means this may be a correct answer. This is also comes under the horizontal communication. And informal communication without organization. This will be comes for grapevine communication from employees to management. This is the upward communication. Okay, here the right answer of lateral communication is communication that flows between departments or colleagues at the same level. Thank you. So in the next video, we'll see more questions on communication topic that already um, appeared in the examination. Okay, thank you.